Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's live stream. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm pretty excited for this one. I thought quite a bit yesterday on this price action and what I thought could happen. Um, just like what would the most extreme scenario be? Like what would be the craziest thing that could happen? And really this for me was it. So we'll dive into this a little bit here and talk about why I think that this is a possibility. And kind of talk about the timeline with it as well. So, a couple things. First, I want to talk about basically we have these are our kind of our swing spots, right? Places where a price would look to sweep, whether it's from the low or from the high or whatever it might be. And what I've noticed in just like being on crypto Twitter, and I mean, here's the deal. Like when I look at this price right here, when I look at this price action, like this stuff here, and I see that, we kind of just like put in all these like lower highs here and then just like went straight up. Well, when you come back down, the very first thing you would think to yourself is, well, I'm not going to open up a long position until these lows are swept. We get a wick above here, maybe a closure here, and then we would look for continuation to the upside. And I've looked at, you know, I've looked at crypto Twitter quite a bit, and I'm actually just going to put all of these in a group here. I've looked at crypto Twitter quite a bit, and like everybody, and I mean everybody, like everyone's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna sweep this low, and then we're gonna go up here, and we'll look for a long in this zone, or we'll sweep both of these lows, and then we're gonna go up, and we'll look for a long, or whatever. And I mean, it makes sense. This is totally a trade that you would expect to happen. For that reason, I think that it's like a little bit overcrowded. I'm not seeing like a crazy degree of strength here. If we go down to like a lower time frame, this is fine, and we can start to see price start to round out, and price literally came as close as it could possibly be right here without taking out this low. I mean, it made an equal low, and it didn't take out this low, is exactly what it did, right? So it came as close as it could possibly be to doing it, and the level held. Okay. And leading up to this, as we went down here, I kept saying, I don't think that we're going to sweep it. And so far, that is holding true. Now, of course, if we sweep it, we can change our plan. No big deal. We'll just, we'll pivot. But right now, that's kind of my thoughts, and I'll tell you why. I kind of shared this in the Discord already, but if we just go to, I vividly remember trading this. If we just go to Litecoin, go back to December of 2022, we had this price action here, and basically, if you look at this, it's very similar, right? We had sort of this period here, we go up, we come back down. Everybody, including myself, was expecting to sweep this low. What did it do? It held the low, and then it pumped back up. Now, there are some really key differences here. Of course, LTC was not at a high time frame resistance when it was doing this. BTC is, right? So that's really worth taking into consideration. But nonetheless, like what I would like to see is sort of like an upwards consolidation, something like this. Maybe do put in like some kind of a flag or whatever and come up, and then we can have continuation to the downside. I don't think that it's going to all of a sudden start ripping back up. Is it possible? I mean, anything's possible, but like right now, thinking in probabilities, I think that it's a very unlikely. So again, we have to keep in mind LTC here was not at a high time frame resistance. BTC currently is. And I just really want to see if I'm able to do this. It'd be really cool if I could oh man, it let me do it. All right, so obviously I don't think that we're going to get that, I don't think that we're going to see a pump out of this. But you can see like just how similar this is. And, in that basically it created this sort of a low, right? Got the move up, came back down, held that low, right? And then we would look for some degree of consolidation to the upside here, maybe back into this zone. And then from there, we would expect BTC to get a move down because again, it's at a higher time frame resistance. It's not like LTC was in this case, just kind of at a place where you could look for some degree of a long position, right? Yeah, this is a really nice fractal. I like this fractal a lot. And this would kind of be that point where I would then look for it to, drop down. So that's kind of my thought on that. I just, like I said, I vividly remember trading this on LTC and thinking to myself, I'm not going to take, as a matter of fact, I said this in the Discord, I'm like, I'm not going to take long until we sweep this low. Once we sweep the low, we'll take the position. And guess what? I got totally sidelined for this entire move to the upside until entering like much later, right? So similarly to, BTC here, I could totally see something, if that fractal were to play out, right? Everybody is expecting price to basically go like this, sweep below, close above the level, and then to come up here and then to dump. I think that like I said, it's an extremely obvious play. I would look for price to actually consolidate in here and then get a move up, into this zone. And then at that point, it's likely that we would look for, some degree of a move down. Now, to follow this up and talk about the rest of my analysis here. For a very long time, I pointed out there's a fair value gap here. This is also a volume gap. Like if you look back, price has spent little to no time here at all for all of the price action leading back to June of 2022. We've had little to no price action here. Every single time price has gone from 25 to 26.5, it's virtually teleported through. I guess here we can just go like this. I'll show you very briefly. So you look at that. I mean, here wick, here straight through, resistance, wick, straight through, and we haven't spent any time there. So if you pull up your fixed range volume tool, you can see that this is a volume gap. We've created a lot of volume in here and here and here and here and here, but there's been literally next to no volume put in here. So I would like to fill that volume gap. Now, I think that it would be too easy, again, just like thinking in terms of whether or not something is a crowded trade. I think that a lot of people are eyeing this 25.2 level. I've seen a lot of it on, when I called to long this area like weeks and weeks ago, I was doing it when no one else was looking at that price, and now I think that everybody is expecting price to, like I said, do this, consolidate, and then make a decision whether it's continuation of the downside or go higher. I don't think that that's going to be the case at all. I think that we have this really nice macro trend line here. We also have a massive pocket of liquidity to the downside. This is also, we can go ahead and pull this up. We have 618, we have a pocket of liquidity here. We have a monthly, weekly level. We have some monthly naked point of controls, etc., etc. There's a lot of good stuff in here that would provide excellent support. Also, the macro trend line, right? So in my eyes, I think it makes most sense to hold this level, right? Get a move back up, tap this trend line, and this may be, again, painfully obvious. Maybe we don't even do something like this, but I would still like to see some degree of a relief rally. And then from there, we dump straight to, about 22, 23, put in some, I want to spend very, very little time here, push back up, and then put in an extended period of consolidation, an extended period of consolidation in this 25 to 26 zone to fill that volume gap. So, to me, this is some pretty extreme analysis, and it would take probably a month to play out in total. But when I look at the chart and I think about, where people are positioned and people's biases and everything, like, to me, this would make the most sense. That said, it's an extremely aggressive move. And to be totally honest with you, I don't know what conditions or what would have to happen for us to actually have such an aggressive move to the downside. So, I ultimately, yeah, so this is like a 20% retracement. Here's the thing. This is something we have to take level by level. We'll have to take it level by level. If we get to here and price gets a nice move up with a high volume and we get back and we back test the 618, I'll look to long. If we come back here and we do something similar, we find support, we see a lot of buying power come in and we back test 618, I'll look for a long. But if we reach these levels and there isn't really any buying power, no one really shows up at these levels, and it seems like people are generally uninterested more so than you would expect them to be, just sit on your hands, be patient, don't try to force along, because in my opinion, then we are likely, shooting for this target here. It looks pretty aggressive, but I mean, really, it's pretty much, it's this exact move to the downside, right? This is about 23%. That's pretty much what I'm looking for here. So we've seen something like this happen before. In fact, if we go ahead and take this fractal, you can see just how similar it would be, and of course we want to hold that. So, yeah, like, something kind of like this, right? Where price rounds out here, we get a move back up into this zone, and then we drop, small bounce here. People think that they caught the long. No, we continue downwards. We cut straight through our volume gap as expected, and then we finally find support in here, and then, from there we get some degree of a move back up. So yeah, I mean, like, even this fractal looks really promising on that. If you go ahead and look and compare, you can see that right around here we could start to round out, get some kind of a move up, and then from there it's virtually down only, right? Again, there was some, like, I don't know, banking FUD that came out when this was happening here. So like I said, I don't know. I don't know if even if we need FUD or like what it's gonna be. I don't know that something's gonna come out or that we need that to happen even. But just like looking at the charts, this is definitely what makes the most sense to me, is to have some kind of a move like this, right? And maybe we do sweep those lows. Who knows? I personally would like it more if we didn't sweep the lows, because I think it's overcrowded. But in the macro scheme of things, it doesn't necessarily make a difference. We just want to see price round out here, come into this zone for a short, and then we can trade it back down, right? So that's my thought process with all of this. Again, I don't want to spook anyone into thinking, oh my God, we're virtually just going to dump to zero here, okay? But the point is we can take this level by level, but if you don't see strength in these bounces, don't be overly eager to enter along thinking that you're catching, you know, a generational bottom or like the big trade to the upside or whatever it might be, okay? Because I'll be honest with you, I thought about this a lot yesterday. A lot, and I came up with several different scenarios of what could happen here. And I'm going to be honest with you, this one looks the most likely to me. Of everything that I thought of yesterday, like when I look back at this chart, seeing something like this would make the most sense to me. So again, you know, we'll play it level by level. If we see a setup higher, great. We will absolutely take it. But for the time being, I really like that one. I have another one here, like to do something like this. You know, to do something like this, I think would be interesting as well. And it would play out this really nice butterfly harmonic that could even push us to new highs. So again, this is another possibility. If we get into this zone and we find that it's not holding as, you know, resistance, we can go up here. This would be a great short opportunity. And also, we can then mentally trigger and say, hey, this is the spot that we could be looking at for a potential butterfly harmonic. And if price slowly grinds down and we do find support at this 25 zone, then hey, again, in our minds, like if it happens around this time, mid-May, mentally, we can say to ourselves, hey, you know, that is right around when this butterfly harmonic was supposed to play out. That's something now that we can keep in mind, right? But, you know, until that happens, we basically have to take it, you know, day by day and see how it plays out, right? If we see something like this and we start dropping and we're not finding support, great. This is the likely scenario. If we see an extended move to the upside where we break out of this trend line here, we can say, oh, okay, cool. I think that the butterfly harmonic may be in play. We get a continued move down. We start to find support here in mid-May. We can, again, think to ourselves, this butterfly harmonic may actually play out. So I am going to look for some degree of a trade. Right. That said, the butterfly harmonic would expect that we get a sweep of the low probably sometime today. So we'll have to wait and see if we get that sweep at the low. Okay, we can trigger the butterfly harmonic thesis. If we do not, then I think that, you know, something like this is a little bit more likely, right? And we'll sort of take it again day by day, trade by trade. But ultimately, these are my thoughts, and we can look at, you know, liquidity here. If we go down to the 1 month liquidity, you can see that there's just a massive pocket at about 22,700, right? This 22,700 zone is a really big pocket of liquidity that's been resting and sitting there for some time. Let's actually just go to 3 months and just see if that's still there. Yeah, okay. So if we look back 3 months time, where's the largest area of liquidity? When we're talking upwards of $50 billion in liquidity, it's resting at 22.4, 22.6, right? We have a little bit at 22.5, but nothing crazy. So, you know, again, a little bit at 22.5, nothing crazy, or 25, what did I say? A little bit at 25,400 or whatever, you know, I don't know. For me, again, like doing something like this here and then down to here, you know, makes the most sense to me. I really like that setup, right? And you can see the liquidity really supports that theory. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll leave the macro analysis behind. Let's zoom in just a little bit and talk about like possible retracement levels. So, you know, for me, looking at this, I'm thinking to myself, you know, if we go here, right, and we're looking, I think I have it on ETH right now. We're going to switch this to BTC. If we're looking at BTC here, we can see that we have negative 18 billion in delta. We can see that buyers, you know, all of these green dots are longs stepping in. So people are pretty eager to step in and long here, which is not generally something you want to see at a low, right? But I do think that this could provide some degree of a smaller bounce. Let's go to a higher, what do they call it, granularity. And basically this shows, you know, where some of the larger positions liquidity levels are. I would You know, so we can kind of look at these levels and ask ourselves, like, where do we think we could see a possible retracement? So let's go back to our chart. The 382 rests at about 29,200. That 29,200 is also the previous month high. So there is quite a bit of, there's some decent confluence at that level that I like. So if we go ahead in here and we look, let's see, 29,200, 29,200. Yeah, so we do have some liquidity in there, right, up to this point. So you'd be able to grab, all of these areas of liquidity, and especially in right about here. And that would leave, these 25x shorts here untouched. Yeah, for me, I think that like my trigger is going to be actually tapping this. I would really like to tap. Oh, so let's zoom in a little bit. I think what would be a really nice setup here is we get some degree of a move up today, just nothing crazy, and we range for the weekend. And then, Sunday night, Monday, we see a move up. And sometime around Monday, Tuesday, we reach this zone, which could be anywhere from, 29.6 to, 29.4, right? Somewhere in there. I think that would be ideal. And then from there, we straight up plummet. We just, start going straight down. And why does this work out really well is we have sort of these two key highs here. We have this one here that I would definitely like to take out. This is the 382. Let's just go ahead and pop on our 66 and 618 as well. So this is a little bit high. Maybe we throw on our 0.5. So our 0.5 lines up really nicely with this high here. And this high for me would be a really great one to take out. I mean, if we could get a move up, sweep that high, get a swing failure pattern, close below, maybe put in some degree of a small range there where we kind of take out that high and then start to trend lower right along this trend line. I would look to short that and maybe, put my stop above the 618 and the 66 here, or maybe above this previous high using some market structure, depending on how tight I wanted my position to be. And, just to give you an idea of what that would look like. So again, doing something like this, right? Doing something like this potentially where we sweep that high, and my position would look something like, maybe something like this, right? Where you could have your stop loss above this previous high from market structure, because if we're going to maintain bearish market structure, we don't want this broken. And we also do not want to take out too many shorts. I know that sounds crazy, but like we don't want to absolutely annihilate everybody. So like somewhere in this zone between the 382 and the 66, I think would be a great spot where we would take out one of these two highs or both, kind of come in this place, tap this trend line, and then from there, we would basically just look to hold that short. We would look to hold that short until one of two things happen. Either we saw strength, whether it be here, or until price reaches this zone. So hold it until strength, or until we get down here, and then I would 100% close my position at this low. And I would probably open up a massive long, right? So for me, like if we reach this red this red square zone here, this red zone, I am going to be looking for a short setup that I will take, put my stop loss like above this previous high here to maintain bearish market structure and look to trade it down heavily. This would definitely be my kind of a setup here. If price gets to this zone and it's not looking, it looks strong and we have continuation, then we can look to sweep this high here, which I would be even happier about. because then we can get a better risk reward ratio on our trade. But for the time being, this is kind of like the setup that I really, really, really like. Okay. I think, how long have we been going for? A half hour. That's perfect. I think we can go ahead and wrap this up, but I hope you guys kind of, I mean, here's the deal. Like I said, I thought about this for a very, very, very long time yesterday, and I'll just tell you, I have my moments where I have very inspired moments of analysis, and I look at, I look at price and I can just see what makes the most sense. And I have a pretty good track record of having these things play out when I feel this way, or when I see something. And again, listen, I mean, I'm trying to predict 4 weeks out here. Price is not going to do exactly what I want it to do. We'll play it level by level and so on and so forth. But the primary thing that I want you to take away from this analysis is that, in my opinion, it's very much on the table that we just drop straight to the zone in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, right? Very much on the table for something like that to happen. Like I said, I don't think we're going to sweep these lows. I think we're going to get a move straight up. We can look for a short position. We can trade it back down. If you want to look for a long in here, that's fine too. If you want to hop in some longs in this, what would that look like? Well, invalidation for this setup that I'm talking about is obviously having, you do not want to see these lows get taken out. So stop loss there. Find an entry somewhere in this order block, right? Somewhere in this order block here, get some degree of an entry, and then go ahead and trade it back up to, the 382, or just look for like you could do a risk reward ratio of 2 for your first take profit, something like this, right? And then you can go ahead and, trade it as high as you want, maybe to this first high, maybe to 382, et cetera, right? For me, this is very much kind of the setup that I personally would be looking for. Because again, invalidation is taking out any of these lows here. So any of these lows would be a great place for your stop loss if you are looking to long this. Again, my hesitation is that there really isn't a whole lot of strength in here. I don't see like a whole lot of buying power all of a sudden showing up with a ton of strength. What is happening is that price is rounding out, so we are starting to see some degree of a bottom form. And if you guys recall, when we were looking at that fractal from LTC, LTC did not actually have a lot of strength at this low. It quite literally just ranged sort of upwards for a while like this. Like it had some sort of like a meager, like unimpressive ascending range that I personally again thought was going to get swept, and that never happened. So if you are looking for a long setup, that's my 2 cents on this. It's Friday. I'm not really interested in opening up a new position, especially here with little to no strength. Maybe on Sunday night or Monday morning, if price is still in this zone and I do get some kind of a move down back into the order block, I may look to open up a cheeky long that I could then trade back up into this zone here. And then, at that point, I'm very eager to hop into a short position, right? Very interested in hopping into a short position. My only issue with this analysis is I think it's like extremely obvious, that this may be a place to short. Now, I don't really know, like I think general sentiment is pretty bearish, so I would almost think like it might be even more aggressive if we did get that move up, to that 30.1, 30.2 zone that we had talked about previously. And I think that would surprise a lot of people into thinking also, that, hey, maybe new highs is on the table when in fact I personally believe that they are not. At the very least, at this time, I would have to see something very convincing. Otherwise, I honestly, nothing would convince me that we're going to make new highs until we make new highs. We would have to make new highs to convince me that we're going to make new highs. Okay, that's sort of my mentality right now on this, is that the local top is in. We need more of a retracement than this. If we got to move down here and we really hold and we show a lot of strength, okay, I might change my mind. Maybe we will see a new high. But from here, from this low, I don't think we're going to create a new high. I think whatever pump we get out of this low is something to short. That's my opinion. Now, a pump out of here or a pump out of here or a pump out of here is a different story. We can draw some new conclusions as to what we want to look at there. But a pump out of here, I'm not gonna. Any pump that we get out of here, I am looking to short. I'm not looking to create new highs out of it. So we'll go ahead and cut this off here. I talked a little bit about swing failure patterns in today's analysis. I just released a swing failure patterns tutorial yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, please take the time to do so. It is one of my favorite patterns. It is so useful in range trading and also in determining trend reversals, right? Points of trend reversals. I think it's something that's really important, especially right now. Ultimately, what are people looking for is a swing failure of these lows for a wick to come down, closure above, and then they're going to look to long from there. And that's exactly why I don't think that we're going to get it. So again, if you guys have any questions, I'll be in the Discord today. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.